Okay, if you're a high performer running on fumes, this conversation today, I believe, will help you. I have the wonderful, and she might tell me off in advance for pronouncing her name wrong. I've just been practicing it before. Nuria Outeiral.
Say it fast.
Outeiral.
Better, Nuria Outeiral. It's just complicated. It's fine. You said right.
Okay, but listen, look, just shooting from the hip straight away. I wanted to get Nuria on today because I've come across a lot of people in the health and fitness space who've been specialists in given fields and done a few sessions in the past around breath work and cold therapy, all this type of stuff. But I've never come across anyone who has made a profound impact on me and my community at our recent Marbella event than the lady I have on as a guest today, and that's Nuria. She might correct me with the granular specifics, but am I right in saying you are a qualified psychologist? You're also a functional breathwork specialist and Wim Hof breathwork specialist?
Wim Hof Method
Wim
instructor.
Hof Method. I know it's very specific. I know it's very specific, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's just I'm certified with the Wim Hof Method Academy and an advanced instructor.
Yeah. But what I love about Nuria is she combines a lot of practices, is not remotely generic in not just how she delivers, but how she explains the importance of breathwork and the different methods and the different ways things need to work together to help people live with less stress, perform better, certainly in the high performance world. So, Nuria, explain to people a little bit better than what I just did. Who is Nuria? What is your forte? Because there's so much you do. What is it? What is it? If you could explain in sort of a couple of sentences what is it you do now and specialize in?
Well, I'm a mental health professional, but I have what I believe is a quite holistic approach. To me, it's about how to get people the support they need. How can people live a better life, healthier life? And it's a bit about using whatever is there that is safe, but also using it like relying more in professionals that they know what they are doing and they really care. Because what I find is that people are very confused about all the resources we have, and still people don't know how to use them. And I think people are more confused than ever.
Why is that?
Because there is so much that people are just relying on social media so much, and there's so much information, and you think, if we have so many resources, what is wonderful, why are still so confused? Why is people are really confused about simple things like breathwork? And I think it's because they skip the basics, and they are, again, they don't know who to trust anymore. It's all really blurry. And especially in my line of work, I deal with people that have struggled with many things, physically and mentally. So that negative impact is even higher. So to me, my aim is just what can I provide people with that they can choose. They can choose what is right for them, and not just including themselves into categories without knowing why. And when they do, sometimes they do without knowing really what it's all about.
Yeah, I can speak from experience. And I remember when I first sat down and had a coffee with you, I fall into that bracket, probably like so many people listening to this, where you're looking at certain social media pages, maybe even YouTube, certain apps, and it can be extremely overwhelming on all the different breathing practices, all the different cold therapy practices, emotional health, mental health practices, and it's okay, what can I do for me right now, and what's right, what's wrong? Is there like a generic blueprint that I need to follow? If I've never done it before, what do I need to do first? So what inspired you to get into this line of work in the first place? Like, I'm sure there has to be something inside that first drew you to getting into helping people, you haven't shared yet, but fix addictions and get into breath work. Like where did all this come from?
I just I really care about people. I'd rather work with people than things. And I really care about connection and quality. When we talk about connection, I'm talking about pure human connection. Because everybody talks about the same, but people are extremely disconnected, and that's why people get sick. And I really care. I mean, like, people get sick because they are disconnected from themselves.
Elaborate on that? Can you elaborate on that?
Sure, it's like they are disconnected from themselves in the first place, from other people, their loved ones, and other human beings in general, and their own environment, the natural environment. And that's what I see as the biggest problem. And because they have so much disconnection, they're relying so much in whatever is out there. Just pick whatever is out there, the more the better. And it's all artificial. And they're skipping the basics. What is the connection? Like, people are disconnected. I mean, if you go back to the breath work, they're looking for the magic pill. All this, like, what is better? And it's like, first of all, just exhale. Because you are so, like, you cannot even breathe. And you're looking for all these resources. The first one starts here. And that's why they cannot connect. How do you connect with other people? You're so disconnected from yourself. And when I mean disconnection from yourself, I'm talking about physiology. Because, obviously my specialty is in health, like my background is in health psychology, so physiology is very important to me. And people don't understand as well that when they talk about the body-mind, when we say body, don't skip physiology then. So they're looking again for this, all these complicated things, and you think, we are talking about this connection. Just start with your own breath. Listen to it, feel it, breathe, right? Start there. Basic. And then you can develop, more, or you can explore other stuff, but start there.
What are the signs, for anybody listening to this, that you are disconnected from your breath?
Well, just the fact that, first, if I go back to physiology, just the way people breathe, I mean, I can see very quickly, like, even their body movements, it's like, people tend to do things like, all the time.
What do you mean? So just for people who are listening to this who can't see what you just did with your body, like what?
Okay, let's say that we are talking and someone is over breathing or breathing very shallow. They could be breathing it kind of vertically. You can see the shoulders being, elevating every time they try to breathe. They tend to do this in an attempt to take more like air, thinking, I'll get more oxygen there. What is the opposite, right? You can see they are very chesty, they are very tight here. Even the way they are sitting, and they are not comfortable. You can see it's very shallow breathing. People, it's not that they might get there when they are nervous. We all do, right? To a certain degree. It's the fact that they can be breathing like that every single day for weeks, for months, for years. That is going to, first of all, have an effect on your general health. Because if you're not breathing properly, obviously, like, oxygen is not delivered. You start breathing with your mouth, At nighttime, that's going to turn into, most likely, sleep apnea, snoring. You're going to get sicker.
Why is that bad? Why is sleep apnea and snoring bad for you? And what are the risk factors with breathing, like you just said?
Well, when you breathe through your mouth, we tend to think that you're breathing more when you breathe through your mouth because it's a bigger opening, right? But it doesn't really go down that far. When we breathe through our mouth, we don't have the same humidity. We don't keep the humidity we keep in the nose. In the nose, we have, hairs. We have, it's a natural filter. You're going to filter all, viruses, dust. There's more humidity. As I said, we have like a kind of natural turbines, we say. It's like a turbine there, like, the air has to travel in a way that it goes filtering the air. Again, it goes farther down, When you breathe through your nose, you are going to engage with your diaphragm, below your lungs. And that's what we are supposed to use. And when you're breathing very from your chest, you're not really using your diaphragm properly. What happens with that, also as well, when you breathe through your nose, you are increasing your nitrogen oxide. Which in the end, I mean, it's a long, I don't want to go very scientific, but we'll say kind of delivers more oxygen to the blood.
But in layman's terms, for someone who doesn't know anything about what you've just shared, again, how can that impact someone's life and day-to-day?
Well, for starters, I mean, if you don't use your diaphragm, when you use your diaphragm, the movement, just by, breathing through your nose, just by using your diaphragm, you're already having an impact in the rest of your organs because they are not in isolation. So by using your diaphragm, and that's why we have the wrist, the bottom ribs. They are a bit more flexible, so it's to have more room for expansion. It can have an impact in even your pelvis because you're moving your diaphragm. You're gonna make your lungs warm more. They are going, so the flexibility is there. You're gonna move more that area. The pelvis is like you're gonna pump more. The blood is gonna circulate better. So that's for starters. But then when we go back to the filtering the air, I mean, you are always breathing through your mouth. You're gonna get anything. It's like by breathing through your nose, you're gonna filter that. So you're gonna avoid all those illnesses. And again, going back to the sleep apnea, if you're breathing through your nose, the tongue, is going to fall back to your throat. You're going to, obviously, it's like, again, going back to, you're not going to get the same oxygen. And it's like you are going to get into the snoring and then, sleep apnea, which is a big problem. I mean, you most likely you end with one of those fancy masks for sleeping. There's no need, it's what sometimes people go from the transition of I'm over-breathing to the mask, and you think just by closing your mouth, you're already avoiding having that dryness, so you're going to engage more with your diaphragm. So, all these things are going to happen just by closing your mouth. So you get used to using your nose more. It's going to have an impact on that, not ending with the sleep apnea, not ending with the snoring, getting sick more often.
So sleep apnea, can that have a direct impact on things like heart health and your organs?
Well, of course. And also it's like, first of all, you're not sleeping properly. So your sleep is not that deep. It's going to be affected. So you're going to be exhausted. Even if you think you are functioning well, it's going to have an impact in your brain. I mean, all you need is one bad night's sleep. And to kind of start the day just very different. And even if you think, I'm okay, it's going to take a toll. One day maybe you manage to, but long term.
Especially if
this one doesn't operate as well.
Especially if you've got to be sharp the next day for work.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel when you don't sleep? If you have to perform? It doesn't matter if it's physically or mentally. It's like you have to have a meeting, or in your case, you have to go and train people. It's like, and then you are not like the nicest person, right? You can try, but you feel irritable. You're just tired. And that's why some people get up in the morning and they feel like, I slept 10 hours. I feel like I didn't sleep at all. Go and wonder, you're like, right? You're not breathing properly. It's like we take it for granted. I breathe. So yeah, I breathe. How do you breathe? Something so simple. And for me, it's going back to basics. Just close your mouth, try to use nose breathing, and and things will get better from there, right? Because also the problem is that we create these habits, and habits are difficult to change. I don't need to tell you that, right? It's like we create habits by repetition. So if you're always breathing like that, to reverse that is something you can do. Yeah, it's not that it's gonna take you years, but still you have to change those patterns.
Yeah, why do you think people don't do that? Or from your experience, has it taken something bad to happen? A lot of the people who come and work with you, is that a proactive approach or reactive approach a lot of the time?
The thing is that people get there, the majority of people get there due to stress.
Would you say that is the single biggest thing that causes people to reach out to you? To raise the flag that something needs to change?
Yes. It's usually, it comes in a way of a breakdown. Because of what I do, a lot of my clients are clients I already know, and they came to me maybe because they suffer from anxiety, addiction, depression, burnt out. Some of them don't even know. Some, they just want to change their life. They just want to live a healthier life. So they come for advice regarding, we'll say, like nutrition, exercise, and all these kind of things. So just behavior change, many things. But the one single thing I always see, even if they don't come saying like, I think I breathe this bad because I have stress, is that I see stress everywhere, no matter what the condition is, no matter what the problem is. A lot of people are not aware. I said the majority of people don't even understand the impact that this has. And even when I tell them about breathing, they look at me like, what do you mean?
Why do you think that is? Because listen, I can speak from experience, and I think because I can't see it or touch it, it's not as tangible as like diet, for example, of the food I put in my mouth. But why do you think that is? Is it because we just take it for granted, maybe?
Yes, because it's something we do automatically. So, you know, if you tell someone that you're not breathing properly, they say, yeah, of course I breathe. If not, I would be dead. I would be dead. So you think, yeah, fair enough, but you're not breathing really nicely. You know, it's like your breathing is we use the word dysfunctional, which sounds very harsh, but it's like, it's just bad breathing patterns. The thing is, you know, when we are babies, we breathe like, you know, wonderful way. It's just perfection, right? And if there's not a problem, you know, any healthy person is beautiful. Is the older we get, the worse we breathe.
And do you think that's because of lifestyle factors?
Of course.
And right now in life,
yeah,
you said it at the start about connection, like compared to years ago compared to now, there's just a lot more going on.
Oh yes, there is so much we can cope with. It's like everybody thinks that you can do so many things. Like nobody can really multitask. You can give your whole attention to just one thing. So it's like we are always like, you know, it's always in a rush. The way we eat, we're watching a movie, we are going through the phone. It's like constantly. Most likely, when you're doing that, your mouth is open, right? Even the way we eat, you know, we are eating and we are talking. That's exhausting. It's like they say, well, I'm eating, I have to open my mouth. Well, no, actually, you can put your food in your mouth. You have to open it, but then you can close it and chew your food, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to do, I'm talking. There's little simple things, but it's just too much. The problem is that people try to do too many things. So when you just think of what is very fashionable now to talk about this, like fight or flight response. Mm-hmm. What is a healthy thing? We feel like you need to stress, the healthy stress that we say, right? Mm-hmm. You have to be ready for action. You're about to run a race. You're about to go and do a presentation, right? So you need a bit of stress. Mm-hmm. But the problem is you don't compensate for that. You don't have time to chill out. No matter how amazing you think you are, you're going to crash sooner or later. Mm. The reason sometimes it takes longer for some people is because they keep doing the thing they are good at. So it doesn't show. It's like, here I am, I'm ready. I can perform better when I'm under stress. That's something you hear a lot. Mm-hmm. And you think, yeah, because you are repeating that thing that you know how to do. Compensating for that, you don't do in small doses. You just go to the fancy holidays twice a year. Mm-hmm. It takes you about 2 days to disconnect, right? But then it's like, yeah, it's great, but you go to streams. What about just kind of going into rest and digest, where it's going from fight or flight response to more parasympathetic every day?
Rather than having, like you just shared, and listen, I can fall into this bracket myself, but and a lot of my clients listening to this too, rather than having a couple of weeks of being a recovery hero, you're saying have small doses regularly, certainly around your presentations, your hard sessions, the stuff where your foot's on the pedal and you've got that healthy stress. But what you're saying is, and I'm sure this relates to a lot of business owners in particular, or high performers who love pressure, and I'm speaking to myself here, that's great, but if you are constantly having to live in that state and in that place, at some point it's going to crash and burn.
It's going to send you the bill. Sooner or later.
Send you the bill.
That's
it's going to send you the bill.
That's for sure. You're going to pay for it. So the thing is, the long holidays, twice a year, yes, go for it. Why not? We should all do it, right? But that's one thing. But you cannot wait that long. It's like you cannot be performing at such a high level, like, 14 hours a day, 12 hours a day, whatever, even 10, right? Without taking breaks. And suddenly you take those two. Those two are great. I'm not saying don't do it. But what about the little rest? Like just 5 minutes, you don't have the time, take 10. We usually say, right? Come on, everybody has even 30 seconds to just exhale.
I think anyone who said they don't is full of shit, because if you were to look at that person's screen time, or how often they scroll on social media, or react to people's WhatsApps that maybe they shouldn't do. Yeah.
But you know what it is as well. What? And you know this when it comes to training. If you give someone a lot, They plan to do it later because they have more time. They plan to do it at the weekend because they have more time. So it's a bit overwhelming because you are requiring like 45 minutes or 1 hour training. And that's why the small doses of repetition are important, because if you are waiting for the day that you feel okay, you have the time, you keep postponing that task, or that, whatever you want to call it, that is 1 hour, becomes this massive thing. Mm-hmm. So that's why you have to have these small moments like, I don't think training is going to happen. And then maybe you just spend 5 minutes. 5 minutes, whatever that looks like. You know, it could be doing sprinting. It could be just doing a few push-ups. 5 minutes. If I manage today to do my 1 hour training, great. If I don't, I had my 5 minutes. Productive, efficient.
Yeah.
We don't feel guilty afterwards.
It's like done beats perfect.
Yes. So, and in the end, you get into that kind of repetition pattern. That's how we create behavior. So you don't feel terrible when you are like 1 month, you didn't do anything, and then you try to do it, and you do that 2 hours, 3 hours, and then the following day, you kind of move first, and then it's like, it's too much. It's all these peaks. You have to think that, going back to the stress, you want that stress, you want that I'm alert, I'm ready for it. But if you don't go to the other side, things start going wrong. We all need to compensate. We need to live in balance. It's like anything else, and we know it, and we talk about it. Balance in life. Try to find it.
Can you explain the link between, because I think you touched on this in our Marbella event, but can you explain the link between breathwork and emotional regulation?
Going back to stress, yeah? Going back to the presentation or something like that, right? Or a race. Your breathing is going to get shallow, right? And it's going back to why physiology is important. Because, yeah, I'm a psychologist, the mind, and we can use many techniques, you know, to address stress. But if you don't address your physiological response, there is so much this one can convince itself, right? Talk, but your breathing is still where? Okay, I'm exaggerating a bit, but sometimes we can get like that, right? Yes. So if you're here and you're just like, I'm fine, are you? Because your body doesn't tell your brain you are. So it's okay to have that stress, but just by simple things like, because nose breathing is best, right? But sometimes we just need to long exhale because our CO2 starts going up and we cannot handle it.
So you're saying, and I know we've spoken about this because there's a lot of NLP gurus and emotional experts, and that no matter how emotionally wired in you are, there are just things that happen within our physiology that require breath work to...
And other things, sometimes you just need to move a bit. You just need that kind of physical, as I said, sometimes you just shake it out, you know, exhale. That already changes what is happening, right?
Changes your state.
Yeah, and your biochemistry. Going back to, again, go back to physiology. Like, and that's to me why the thing I think that maybe, it's not that mental health professionals don't know this. Maybe they haven't focused, some of them don't focus so much on this. Maybe health psychology does a bit more. But also when you're saying about all these people that talk about breath work and all that, it's like some people have, I think, an agenda to make this big deal about, you know, mainstream or mental health professionals. They're like, you know, they don't know. It's all about the body. It's like, yeah, but you are not explaining how things work properly. It's like some people might need more than address their breathing. To me, the breath work and the movement is a way to help you manage your stress so you can face the challenge better. So I've seen people that just with breath work, and going back to the Wim Hof Method, you know, that is so, like, people love it. I've seen people and people telling me, you know, this did more for me than anything else. And who am I to say, yeah, listen, I love it, right? But I work with people that are facing so many challenges, from physical illnesses, like, you know, from cancer to depression, anxiety, trauma. They come with deep trauma, and then addiction. So, yeah, listen, who am I to tell you if this is not the thing for you? But is it enough? In my experience, some people need more. So for sure, I always use breathwork and mobility to address that response. Stress is good. If you cannot handle it, if you're not able to manage that stress, it's like you cannot function. How can you sit during therapy and have a good session or think that therapy is working for me? Because, trauma is usually made small, and less painful through talking therapy. And that's why, for example, psychotherapy is important. But if you don't go ready, right, you're still going to have to face the darkness, we'll say. But if you do it with a bit more control, definitely you're going to do better. So to me, it's like breathwork. Yeah, I've seen people saying like breathwork changed my life. Good. I mean, I get it, right? But I don't like when people go selling people like this is the magic pill, because the people I work with, sometimes they just need that to manage the stress of everything that is going on.
Yeah.
But then they need other resources as well. That's why to me it's like, let's be honest, what works for people? Maybe just one thing, maybe they need more, but just do it in a way that works for that person. Don't tell that person their problems are going to go away with this. So yeah, to manage your stress response is key. And to me, that's something I use before I use anything else. And I continue using no matter what other things I implement. That's always there for that reason. Because if you're out of control, there's nothing you can do, right? Or you are going to do wrong.
I get it, which brings us on to a couple of questions around the difference between functional breath work and the Wim Hof Method. Because what I love about the sessions I've done with you personally, Nuria, and I've not seen it before, because as you know, inside Built to Last, we had Patrick McEwen, who's I believe you've learned from, right?
I learned, trained with him.
That was very much functional breath work, and I've also had sessions where people have done solely Wim.
Yeah.
You've done both, and what I like is obviously the psychology aspect and the emotional aspect, because I think that's so important, because everything links to each other, as you just shared. And the hierarchy of what someone needs at a given moment might be different, on a different day. But explain to people who are aware of breath work and have heard the words functional breath work or Wim Hof Method, what is the difference between functional breath work and Wim's method? Okay.
Well, first I might say that, I've been trained with both, like with Wim and with Patrick. And many of my fellow Hoffers, as we call ourselves, many of the Wim Hof Method instructors are trained like me in oxygen advantage or buteyko. So it's not that one is against each other. People love, like coming and say, like, what do you use more, the Wim Hof Method or functional breathing? And I said, it's not what I use more. What do I use it for? So what do you mean? Like, when do you use Wim Hof? Well, it depends. And I said, they don't understand. It's like, what do you mean? And it's like, well, for my everyday, I hope that my breathing is quiet, right? Slow and quiet.
Because it'd be a little bit weird going around breathing like Wim 24 hours a day.
When I'm cooking dinner, right? So the thing is, but also it's important to think that people think the Wim Hof, and we start straight away like doing big breaths, and you think, first of all, we still have to use the same organs. So people think it's like, they love just picking size. And I always say, it's not a football match, right? I don't have to pick one. I've been trained in both. So if I'm going to start going for big, deep rounds of the Wim Hof, I want to be ready for it. I'm not going to say, start now. Like, for example, I told you before, some of the people I work with, they get very into like, oh my God, you're a Wim Hof Method instructor. I just want to do just the Wim Hof. And I said, listen, it's great, right? But right now, what I see is you're barely breathing. So, and I say, where is your breath? I think we did this before. Where is your breath? And they start telling me stuff about breathing. And I said, no, where in your body? And they said, here. And I said, well, from where I'm standing, it looks like it's here.
Yeah, up in their neck and chest.
Right? So it's let's start working, like using your diaphragm properly. Let's start focusing on that. So when you breathe, you can fully breathe. So when we start going into the faster pace, you are using your full capacity, we'll say. So the Wim Hof is true that it is like you take a lot of, big breaths, we'll say. But I always start with, we'll say, functional breathing, but it's like just use your diaphragm. Have that big expansion, I obviously nose breathing if possible. For some of the clients, when it's again going, I'm sorry, I'm hoping I'm not going too much of on one side. It's trying to explain. Like, sometimes when people say, I heard nose breathing is best. Yes, of course. But for example, for some of my clients that are like constantly having panic attacks, high anxiety, or going through addiction, detoxing, it's like they are so stressed out that if I tell them only inhale and exhale through the nose, most likely they have a panic attack. Yeah. So inhale through the nose. I'll teach them try to use your diaphragm, connect with your diaphragm just by having your hand, we'll say in the tummy area. I say the tummy to make it more simple to understand. Just breathe, feel your belly, the side of your ribs expanding, feel it, breathe through your nose. But very often I say exhale through your mouth because they are so tight here that imagine if you're already
open your throat and
eventually they're going to go So I'd rather you go
so deep in through your nose first and then
because what is happening, it has some kind of release, because if not, in the end, they are not going to handle it, and most likely they have a nervous break or more anxiety. So that's when people say, would you just do nose breathing? It depends. It depends what I see, and that's why there's no one thing for just everybody. So definitely nose breathing. We start when we do the Wim Hof. I would always start let's just breathe, where are we with our breath? Where is our breath? Because people take it for granted. And then when they say, no, my breath is all fine, it's very simple for me, just by putting my hand over their shoulders and push down. And you can see that they are struggling, and suddenly it's they kind of go up. Why? I force them to see, actually, now you're using your diaphragm, you were not. So how are we going to engage into the big round of the Wim Hof Method breathing if you're not breathing here? But we start in the same organ, the diaphragm. It's not that the Wim Hof Method say, overbreathe, and people love saying, they hyperventilate all the time. As you said, I don't go around the house, big breaths, right? I would pass out. So how am I using this? I always am in my everyday, when I'm talking and walking around and driving and cooking, whatever, I just use my normal breathing. And also same functional breathing, just the way we should breathe. Because we always put labels.
Functional breathing is the way we should breathe day to day.
We should all breathe. Just look at a baby when it's asleep, right? So it's just slow, nose breathing, slow. The movement, it should be so light in your body that I shouldn't be even able to see it. The only reason I emphasize and I go and I say belly, it's not that I wanted to breathe in the belly. It's just, if I say diaphragm, it's a bit higher than below your lungs. And when someone is here, if I don't say go to the belly, they're going to try so hard to use, the diaphragm, you said it's kind of around here. They're going to lose it. So I rather say go focus in your belly, just visualize that area and go for the big breath in there to engage. Nose breathing, engage with your diaphragm. And once we start getting into that, obviously exhale through the mouth, because I see people trying there. So I can see they're able to have a panic attack, especially some of my clients. So I have to see what I have in front of me first. So the Wim Hof, is different to that, but we start from the same place. And I know I'm not the only one, because many of my colleagues are trained in the same way as I did.
But the problem is, and I've been this person, by the way, who didn't know this. I remember once, this sounds so ridiculous. Yeah. I remember it was either the day before or a day of a high rocks. I had some time to kill. Yeah. And I sound like a lunatic with what I'm about to share here. But I wanted to do the best I possibly could at this high rocks, and I had some time to kill, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to do some Wim Hof breathing. I'd never even done any Wim Hof breathing, but I went on YouTube and some random Wim Hof exercise, and I thought, I'm going to get myself in state. But for all I know, and probably what happened in the race with me, my heart rate went through the roof a lot earlier than I thought. I cramped up. But for all I know, I probably wasn't even breathing from my diaphragm in the first place. And I'm doing 10 rounds of this thing that I found on YouTube. So my point is that there's a lot of people maybe just jumping on Wim Hof apps without any context of, is my breathing and my mind in a place ready for that.
For that.
Quite an intense drill.
Yeah, because it's not that it's wrong what you do, like, oh, I'm going to do a few runs. Sometimes you need that kind of a boost. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go for it. But why? Because my breathing patterns is quite healthy, it's functional. So that's what I use, and I'm used to exercise using like, nose breathing. And so when I'm going to use the Wim Hof, maybe even if it's only for those kind of 5-10 minutes you have to kill and you think, I'm going to give myself a boost, nothing wrong with that. But because your breathing patterns are good, if you're already here and you're going to be nervous.
Up in your throat, yeah. So what you're saying, if you're already up in your throat and quite ready to fight, it's probably not a good idea.
Engage with your diaphragm. Say it is high diaphragm first, and then see. To me, it's again, where are we? Like, what are you doing as well? Because if you think you're in a good place, you have, as I said, good breathing patterns, and then you understand the Wim Hof Method. You said, I'm going to give myself a boost. Fine. But then again, how is your performance? Because sometimes when people say only nose breathing, nose breathing is best. And you can train that. And your performance, I can assure you, because right? And we've done exercises like that. But sometimes if your exercise is so intense that you just kind of keep up until you have more training, sometimes if you have to exhale, we are talking about very high intensity training. There's no point of, they told me nose breathing is best, and then you go like,
that was my thing actually when Patrick obviously delivered 4 sessions, I believe it was, during COVID, and they were all different contexts. There was one maybe recommendations before sleep and women's menstrual cycles, all this stuff. But I did say to him, if you are performing at high intensity, with respect, Patrick, with the greatest will in the world, there's no way you can solely nasal breathe. You can't if you are literally you're pushing hard with intensity. So I don't think you can't possibly be one-dimensional with.
To me, it's like you can train yourself. You can. I mean, I remember. Many years ago, maybe I couldn't run like 10K without exhaling through my mouth. I can do a sprinting for 10K doing that, but it depends. It depends. You can train that for sure. But to me, it's like about, again, it has to work for you. So maybe until you have that kind of training, or maybe even if you have that kind of training, sometimes the intensity is so high that it's okay to exhale through your mouth and continue inhaling through the nose. I'm
just saying, if you're sprinting a full pout, you're not going to see Usain Bolt break a world record nasal breathing, running 9.32.
Not yet.
No.
I do. You can't train that, but it's true that sometimes when people say, "Come on, high intensity," I say, "Listen, if there is." The thing is, what is acceptable? People try to tick boxes. I did my nose breathing, but you ain't it in A&E. So it's like, was it so intense that even like with the training you have and doing only nasal breathing through light and medium intensity, this time was so high that you couldn't handle it. You continue doing nose breathing. How deep was it? Because if the quality of your nose breathing was not that good and you started going into shallow breathing, exhale through your mouth, continue breathing, inhaling through your nose. But if your breathing starts shallowing because you're trying so hard to do through the nose because you can handle it during light or medium intensity, maybe that's when you had to compromise, and during, like maximum, your maximum, we said like high intensity, maybe you just exhale through the mouth. I do believe that some people can still handle it, right? Maybe you've seen it, but it's true that to me, when
I'm talking about the top end. It's like the last 10%. Like it's just when you are pushing that high. If you're doing a high rocks and you're pushing to break your record, your personal best, you're gonna be mouth breathing at some point. But the problem is if you're going,
don't inhale through the mouth.
Done.
Don't inhale through the mouth. We're not free diving and with goggles. So, but to me again, it's going to very precise about who am I, what I need, because maybe I'm okay to go through high intensity nose breathing, but how am I today? How is my breathing? Because you suffer from an allergy like I do. Sometimes I feel like I need to work more on my breathing before I go for sprinting and only do nose breathing, because I feel a bit my breath is a bit more shallow. So that's why to me it's always trying to find the yes or no, black and white. Not every day is the same for me. Not every day is the same for you. Sometimes you go train and you're like, wow, smash it, right? And sometimes you think, I don't know why today I was a bit off. So go work with that. Even if you can go just nose breathing during high intensity, maybe it's okay to exhale during this high intensity because today you were not like yesterday. Don't do during light breathing. It's better to do nose breathing. But we are talking, as you said, at the very top. Find what you need. It's not about what's best. Like, what do you do? Wim Hof or functional breathing? What are we talking about? If I go to the middle of nowhere in Alaska and I'm planning to do cold exposure, I am going to huff away, right?
I understand, but as much as I know one thing with you, and it's such a great trait that I admire, and I'd like to think I embody that in my own delivery and coaching and stuff, is anything but generic. But if you would say to anyone listening to this who knows deep down they're breathing vertically from their chest and they're into their throat, and a lot of what you've already said has resonated, and they know deep down they just need something, even as a daily practice, even if they started the day, is there a simple practical exercise that maybe just a simple breathing drill that you would recommend just to at least start nasal breathing? Is it 4 seconds in? Like, what is there anything you recommend that be like, I don't know, a 2-minute drill to at least, like you said earlier, rather than people listening to this, they might have work, they've got kids, they've got training, they think, how can I fit all this in? What is something that could be 2 to 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes max, that someone could do?
I'll give you even less than that.
Okay.
To me, the first thing is just think, where's my breath? But look for it in this one, your body. Stop talking to where's my breath. I don't want to talk about breath. Where in your body? Find it, because you are saying it's most likely, here.
How can people find that? So imagine, some people just listening to this on a podcast, they can't see
They can see it. So you would place a hand on your chest and a hand on your tummy, we'll say. You should feel your tummy when you inhale going forward. Some people would feel like the tummy is going inwards, and what happens is like you start breathing very shallow, and you can see the shoulders elevating, that we call vertical breathing. So just by placing just something simple, as I was saying, instead of talking about breathing, just place one hand on your chest, one hand on your tummy, and just feel your we'll say your belly, let's call it belly, expanding forward in the inhale, right? And then something that helps, if you are busy, you feel stressed out, just close your eyes. You have to think the amount of stimulation, right? The eyes is where we take it in, right? So just by closing your eyes and exhaling for a bit longer, you will be able to hear your own breath more.
Exhaling through your mouth.
Exhaling through your mouth is okay, especially if you feel stressed out. You want to inhale through your nose, great. But sometimes we need that. Close your eyes.
And how many seconds, just as a basic drill?
Just do it once. Just do it now. Just once. So you just inhale through your mouth.
Yes, I did.
So just inhale through your nose.
Okay, so let me do this live for people listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
So inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth slowly, a bit longer. Close your eyes. Do it again with your eyes closed from the beginning. Can you hear it?
Even just doing that, I feel
just doing that, it already puts you more parasympathetic than fight or flight. Just by doing that, right? It's so simple.
So can you explain
that people don't do
in
it?
Case of what exactly you just taught me through? Because even in just those 2 breaths, I felt different.
Just by placing a hand on your chest, a hand on your tummy, you inhale through your nose. You can feel your belly expanding forward, and then you can exhale through your nose. If you're very nervous, sometimes you need to exhale through your mouth. Do, but listen to your own breath. Closing your eyes will help you. Listen to your own breath, like that already changes the way you're breathing and the way you're feeling. I'm not saying with this everything is going to change, but that already straight away puts you in a more parasympathetic. If you are in fight or flight,
even just about closing my eyes. And I only did 2 breaths of that, so imagine if I did even like 10 or a couple of minutes of that.
Or go back to just do it a few times and repeat. 5 seconds a day, 3 times a day, or when you feel like you're a bit like tired, stressed out, just sometimes, when people say deep breath, people go with a deep breath on the mouth. Deep breath means that it goes down where it's supposed to. a proper quality, go for quality.
Because that is,
Right?
Do you remember Westy at our event?
Yeah.
You said, everyone take a deep breath in. No, you did a drill, with Ryan West.
Yeah.
And you said, right, deep breath in. And he went...
There you go.
So even though he did it with his nose,
It's so hard.
He
right?
literally, shoulders went up, his chest went up.
Yeah, why?
And he thought
I did great.
And you're like, now don't lift your shoulders up and do it from your belly.
Yeah, from your belly. Like, as I said, I always, because I know how this works. So you may have people come in and say, it's not your belly. It's like, I'm aware. I'm a yoga teacher as well, right? As I said, sometimes if you explain to people too much, like the diaphragm, where is place, if people are breathing very shallow, they are trying so hard to use the right organ that if you just say, from the belly, just feel your belly expanding forward. They get it, especially people that suffer from anxiety, a lot of stress. So that's why I say the belly, just in case I, listen to any criticisms. To me, it's about make it simple so people understand it. I know it's not the belly. We're talking diaphragm, but just make it simple. We're talking about some people are so anxious they cannot even hear you. That's why closing your eyes is efficient. Think of the senses. Just shut one down. Because you are going to hear your own breath better if you don't have that stimulation that, we take constantly, like, from the external world. So just close your eyes, exhale for longer. Just having that awareness of placing a hand in your tummy, a hand in your chest. Inhaling, feeling your belly going forward. Exhale for a bit longer. And sometimes what I say, when people say take a deep breath, it's okay to go for the exhale first. And that's maybe my own thing. But again, if you're so tight and high breathing with your throat, right, or whatever, your shoulders, your ears, trying to take a breath through the nose in the inhale, it's just you can't because you're like already up there. You're already choking. So sometimes just exhale first. So you are kind of more like, okay, now take the inhale through the nose because you're already choking. It's like you cannot handle the CO2. How are you going to take a breath? How are you going to inhale through your nose? You're already like, exhale if you need first. But that's something I do myself. It's not that there is any particular technique. To me, it's like what I see that person needs at the time when they're like, right?
Well, I've been there myself, even the sessions I've had with Nuria where I've turned up to you and my mind is like cooked and if you'd have got me to solely just do nasal breathing, I'm just not ready.
You're already in a place. There is other things like once you do that, just the exhaling, closing your eyes, start with the exhale and then do obviously nose breathing, at least for the inhale, right? Engage with your diaphragm. There are many techniques, like a lot of people come to me and say, what about box breathing? Because it's one of and I told you before
what is box breathing for people who don't know?
Well, it's like, I even get bored about talking about it. And I know sometimes I'm criticized by that, but kind of you take a breath through the nose and count to 4 and then exhale, hold for whatever. I don't care. To be honest, to me it's like, even a lot of therapists use that. And when people come to me and say, do you use box breathing? And I said, how chilled are you? How are you feeling right now? Because to me, box breathing is algebra when you're having a panic attack. Just exhale for longer. Maybe hold your breath sharp. Because do you think, like, some of my clients that suffer from really like high anxiety or having 2-3 panic attacks or about to have them every day, do you think if I say just do the box breathing, 1, 2, 3 in your head, 8, 7, 6, like they don't even know. Some of them get blurry vision. I've seen people about to pass out just with anxiety. Go and count. That's physics, algebra, when you're like really nervous. I'm not saying it doesn't work and a lot of people use, but to me it's like just go for the exhale first because you're right now, it's like the CO2 is kind of driving you insane. It's like you cannot even breathe. So just exhale, inhale through the nose, exhale again, maybe hold your breath 3 to 5 seconds. If it's too much, reduce it. That's where we want to be. Not doing box breathing, maybe that's for later. What do you need now? So to me it's again going to what do we need? What is best? But you told me you have all these resources and videos and podcasts and iPads and gadgets and whatever. And you still are asking me what's best? Where is your breath? Well, I think my breath is in my lungs. And no, I mean where? I mean in your body. Look for it. What do you mean? I don't know, ask the gadget. So going back to basics, we are talking about connection. Why are people so disconnected? They cannot even listen to their own breath, and then they're looking for the resources outside.
There's something there. They're looking for something external,
of course,
to fix them.
Yes.
When deep down, the simplicity of what you just shared, is going to be the thing that will make them feel a certain way, to maybe look for that, look for that external thing. Or
maybe if you do, it's an extension of your practice, because all these gadgets are not going to help you find your own breath. And it's the same as being guided. Yeah, being guided is great. Sometimes I'm guided myself. I mean, if I'm guided by Wim, extra bonus. Also, I know one of my fellow Hoffers. But to be honest, it's like, if I cannot even just be guided by my breath, how am I going to pretend to really engage when someone guides me? What do you mean by it?
And then you're constantly relying on a gadget and app.
External.
All the time, which isn't a bad thing to give you structure. But in day-to-day, for example, I'm just thinking, even from a business standpoint, my calendar is packed, or anyone listening to this, if your calendar is consistently packed, you can't, I don't know, between meetings have 10 seconds, 30 seconds to
3 seconds to exhale. Put your hand in your belly, exhale, and then inhale.
I've got to get an app out to do that. It's like, come on.
It's like, the thing is, because we always expect things to be so complicated. I think one of the problems, especially in Western societies, is like we always look for something that is external, more expensive, more fancy. So I'm not against all those fancy gadgets. I have a few myself, but I'm not the slave of my gadget. I still can breathe without it. Thank you. I don't need an oxygen chamber to, get more oxygen in my system. And I'm not against them. Of course, there are some things that are wonderful, more things coming, but don't be a slave of them. It's like, people rely on having these, huge experiences with all these gadgets so they can listen to your breath magnified through a speaker. And you're saying, it's like, what is wrong with listen to your breath as it is first?
Well, there are just certain situations where it's just not practical. Do you understand? You can't just get your phone out in certain situations. You might not have Wi-Fi.
Yeah. You are right about that, but to me, the bigger picture of that, the bigger issue is you have no control over your own breath. So you are, again, relying in external resources, disconnecting yourself from your own physiology. That's one of the biggest problems. I mean, that's the problem. It's like the disconnection we have with ourselves, always relying on other things. So use them, why not? But don't be out of control. We are talking about your breath, your lungs, your diaphragm, right? And then it's like, how are you connect? And I'm talking about proper human connection with other human beings, and you cannot even connect with your own physiology.
So surely that has to have, if someone can't connect with themselves, surely that has to have an impact on who you're trying to connect with externally, whether it's a client, a team member, your partner, your kid.
Yeah. Well, if you're like all over the place, constantly fight or flight, constantly living with the stress because you can handle it so well, right? How can you just give quality? Because even if you are quite good at managing your stress, if you're working 12 hours, for sure, you don't decompress, you're going to go to bed and you are still performing, right? You're not switching off, no matter how good you are at maybe managing stress, because you just can't. You cannot find balance. You don't disconnect. There is no quality. It's all quantity. And it's going back to addiction. It's all more, the better, more. How do I breathe? Give me the chamber, give me the gadget, give me the woo.
Do you find in people who are quite obsessive and addicts or very all in? You find that?
It's about restraining the dopamine constantly, and it's about the connection, because some people can do extremely well in ice, and it's like, how many minutes do you stay? And I said, I'm not going to tell you, most likely more than you, but it doesn't matter. Most of the times I wouldn't do more than 5 minutes. And also people are like, I do it every day, and do you feel better? Oh, yeah, it's great, and I feel great. And some people really have that practice, and they do amazing, and it's wonderful. But a lot of people incorporate this practice, like cold exposure, in a way that makes no sense to me.
Yeah. So just on that, I'm conscious of your time as well. Sure. But let's talk about cold. What is some of the biggest bullshit myths around cold exposure? Because I, for one, it can be very, very overwhelming. What's right, what's not right, but just what is just some of the biggest bullshit that you see out there around cold exposure?
It's going back to the same. It's about the more the better. Give me more dopamine. And they are missing the whole picture. Yeah, of course, you're going to get an increase of 250% more, right? But it's about connecting with yourself. It's about how you manage stress and how do you apply those tools to the everyday, to any challenge. And that doesn't have to be a physical challenge. Again, going back to the fancy stuff, it's like, which is better? For me, the lake, right? An ice bath it's a controlled environment, and it's great. And some people don't have, here in Marbella, if you don't rely on ice or a cooler, good luck, right? Yeah, you've done cold exposure with me. How many tons of ice can we use? But it's like, it's not about that. It's like, what do you need? Because if it was up to me, I would be out there in nature. We prefer nature.
But
we don't.
But many people listening to are going to be in Dubai. I live in Dubai. I don't have that. So what can I do?
So have your ice bath, have your cooler if it's more practical. But it doesn't have to be the most expensive, the fanciest. It's not about the minutes. It's not about the brand. It's about, are you really connecting or not? Because some people do really good with cold exposure in the sense that they are very good, like they're respected. They saying, oh yeah, I can feel the benefits. I incorporated this in my routine. What is like great, amazing. Like exercise is great. Incorporate it in your everyday routine. But some people incorporated cold exposure in a way that it became like, oh, I'm brushing my teeth and just shaving and just grabbing my cold. And it's like, wow, if I had to do cold exposure just before brushing my teeth and shaving, I don't shave, you. I don't know. It's like, that to me sounds like stress. Maybe just do it when you come back. Because some people say, when is best? And some people say, well, in the morning, it gives you that boost. But then naturally through hormones, it relaxes you. Yeah, but is it fit in your life? Because for me, I get up very early. But if I had to take the kids to school, I had to drive to work, I drive far and all that. And I still had to fit my ice bath. When I like having an ice bath, it's in the evening. When things are done, obviously I don't go with a full belly, right? But when I feel that I can really pay attention to what I'm doing. And you think, oh, it's going to make you more like,
it's going to
wake you up.
What you're saying is that it's going to have the opposite effect if that doesn't complement your day.
You're
going to be thinking about what am I doing afterwards?
Yeah. So, the ice is going to slap you back to reality very quickly. Ice is always going to win. So obviously you're going to feel the cold. But how are you connecting? Are you fighting it? And even if you think, oh, I'm quite relaxed in ice. Yeah, your body gets more used to the cold. But it's still connecting, really. At some point you have to connect. Because if you lose that ability of connecting to your breath, if you are off that day, the ice is always going to let you know. But at the same time, if it becomes this routine, like your body has adapted, but you're not really giving it your full attention, what are you looking for? Because to me, it's about connection. The way, like when I have never found that connection with anything else. When you do cold exposure, the way we would do with the Wim Hof community, like, when we train in Poland or we take people to expedition, and it's just like, see my hair? Yeah. It's just the experience. It's just pure connection, raw to yourself. Like how you connect with your own physiology. Suddenly it's like your senses widen. It's like then how you connect to your environment, especially if that's nature. But even if you're in an ice bath, obviously it's not the same to be in the middle of a forest and staring at a wall. But you connect with yourself. That cannot be taken away. Even if you are in your own bathroom or in your garage, that connection with yourself is still there if you pay attention. Because if it's like, yeah, I'm good with ice, but then it's like, boom, run into the tube. Why don't you leave it for the evening?
Okay.
To me, that works best. So in the evening, they're doing just before bed, but even if you feel it gives you a boost, it's like exercise. You're going to feel that boost for a while, but then it naturally relaxes you because it's natural dopamine, the opposite to...
As long as you've done it with the right intentions and with that connection in mind. So would you say it's irrelevant, really, whether you do it for 1 minute or 10 minutes, as long as you are doing it and you are generally in connection with your breath?
Just be safe.
Okay.
Just be safe. There is something that people don't understand, and I know there's a lot of things there out in,
Well, there's a lot of generic things. Again, I'll give
it's
you some
dangerous,
context, where people, I don't know, there's this set rule where you have to do the same amount of minutes every day. Like that's where it's confusing you.
Let's say that below 17 degrees, you're already getting many of the benefits, like activating your brown fat, what is the fact that keep us warm, and it's mitochondria. Then you get more used to the cold when you have that kind of regular exposure, of course. And, you so becomes a practice like the exercise. But it doesn't have to be always the same temperature. You have to go, like, as Wim says, feeling is understanding. So why am I going to tell you that it's better to do 7? Why? training for a particular thing. Maybe I do a bit more cold exposure if I know I'm going to go to Poland. But if I'm not, it's like, how am I feeling today? It's different. Like now they're saying, oh, it's not good for women. How cold, when, who? Because obviously I have maybe more practice that other women do. But also I just feel it. How do you feel today? Should you get out? Safety, although people sometimes think we do crazy things, safety is our priority. I've never heard any of my colleagues, and I would, of course, would never say like, I do whatever. No, first, safety. Ice is always going to win. This is, respect, no fear. So if you go with an ego, it's going to melt away very quickly. So it's like, understand your body, feel it. You know when you get out, when you need to get out. Obviously, getting too hot means hypothermia, so get out quick, right? But it's about understanding what is safe. So how many minutes? It's like, it takes about obviously 30 seconds to settle. Because when you hit the ice, you're going to have that, right? Your breath is going to be taken away, right? So you have to address that. So you have to engage again, like slow breathing. You keep more control breathing through the nose, inhaling through the nose, exhaling slower through the mouth, right? That's how you keep more control, especially if you're not used to it. But it's about understand your body, be safe first, be wise, learn how it's good to get out. It's not about fighting it because you do nothing there. This is about connection. And it starts with you. And then you can connect better to people. You definitely do. It happened to me. It happened to every single person I know in my community. It's a connection. You can only feel, not explain. And when you get there, it's easier to connect with other people. That was my experience. And nature. Nature is a big thing for us. You can connect better. You remove human being from that connection, others, the connection with others, yourself, and the natural environment, and you get sick. Mentally, physically, it doesn't matter. And we know, but we keep repeating the same mistakes because it's always the better. The more the better, the more expensive. Give me more dopamine, and we don't go to the other side, what it's like, within moderation. Because you want to go to rest and digest as well, parasympathetic. And going back to that, there is another technique, if you want me to say, that I use very often. After that kind of acknowledge where your breath is, longer exhale. And I use this a lot at work because I find if you tell people too many things, in the end, they don't do it.
100%.
So I always call it like, just go with your bullet points. Where it is like, exhale for longer, engage. Where is my breath? Feel it in your belly, your chest, where? So engage with your diaphragm. And then once you are there, something that works really well to change your biochemistry very quickly is doing a double inhale through the nose, longer exhale. If you can do the longer exhale through the mouth, that's quite good to change your biochemistry when you're nervous. And it's okay if you need to, as I say, shake your body a bit in the exhale, right? And it's okay. Little things like that, simple. You can do for 10 seconds 3 times a day. If you are going to wait for I have to work on my breath work, yes, do, by all means. But you cannot have that stopping you from just exhaling a few times a day. Or acknowledging, am I joking here? As simple as that. Go back to basics. It doesn't have to be so fancy. We can extend that. We can do more with our breath. We can do so much. But before you start exploring, before you start relying on gadgets and more, basic stuff. It's always best. Balance.
Amazing. So you've actually answered a couple of questions I was going
to
wrap up with anyway. No. This is
I get passionate about my
You actually
subjects.
answered the questions I was going to wrap up with. Just the one parting question I've got for you to sort of wrap us up is, because you've given some great context there, some practical things, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But just for anyone who might still be listening to this, they've listened to it, they're sort of contemplating maybe starting to explore where is their breath, but they know deep down, I'm not going to do it, or they're going to wait for that bad thing to happen before that stress to become too high. Just in your sort of strap line, why should people take this far more seriously? Because I know people don't. They don't.
Because it's going to have an effect in every single organ in your body. It's going to have an effect on your brain. We cannot operate properly, even if you think you can, if we don't breathe properly. And you have to think your breath can change the way your nervous system I was not going to say change your nervous system. We'll say the way we feel, have an impact in your nervous system. If you are constantly stressed out and you don't regulate, you don't go into parasympathetic, eventually you're going to pay the bill. And you will. It doesn't matter what you do, how good you think you are at managing stress, you're going to pay for it. And if you don't pay in the form of a breakdown, it's going to take it all. You are definitely going to start snoring. You're definitely going to go in with the sleep apnea. You're going to be irritable. You're not going to enjoy the moments where you are in Bali on holidays because you cannot switch off, right? Live like that and you will pay the bill. Mentally and physically, whatever, to me is the same, right? Mm. And what I would say as well that to me is very important, all the resources are great. Just rely on reliable people and resources that are if you listen to podcasts, advice, whatever, it's I don't know it all. I learn from so many people, but it's just see what works for you, but doing for proper professionals. It doesn't matter if it's a yoga teacher, it doesn't matter if it's a psychologist, it doesn't matter if it's a doctor. It's not that suddenly all doctors are bad. Not everybody gets commission from pharmaceutical companies. There are wonderful doctors that have a lot of knowledge, maybe not in a particular area. There's some of them that work in functional medicine, and they're amazing. Don't trust people that tell you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do. My background is in psychology, but I'm also a Wim Hof Method instructor. I'm also a yoga teacher. It's we can use all of it. It depends how we do it. It has to work for us, and it has to be done in a way we are, we can rely on the people that told us how to do it. Right? Because if I don't know something, I go to someone else. But I'm not going to tell someone just do this. Who am I doing that for?
Amazing.
Right?
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Where can people find you?
Find me. I'm not the best with social media. I have my social media, but my website is www.makaiclinic.com.
Right, I'll put that
Makai
in the links.
with a K. And
And your Instagram?
And, Instagram. Where is my Instagram? You have my Instagram.
I just
Nuria
can't say your surname properly.
OUTEIRAL _
I will put that in the links as well.
No, I'm not the, I'm not the best at social media. I try. I'm just busy.
No, but this is but what I love about Nuria, even though there's some people out there, with more PR and the marketing gurus, but I'm sure anyone who's listened this far will realise that there's a reason why you are top of the tree in what you do, and you're actually making an impact, and there's absolutely so much gold, and I look forward to doing lots more together, certainly with Built to Last and other things. So please check her out. She's fantastic at what she does, and take your breath seriously.
Yes.
Because I felt like there was part of today that I was getting told off, actually. So, reminders. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.